How is the UNHCR using social media?
In the 2 years that I was working there, I saw the transformation of an entire organization, the way that they communicate about the refugee crisis, about the refugee plight, in some of the most daring crises in the world, like Afghanistan, Darfur, Congo, transform itself through the usage of social media. From being an organization that was conservative to be the leading organization that is using social media from the United Nations, I can tell you that the usage is very mainstream right now. So they basically, every time that there is a crisis, they take that and transform it into a feed that is sent to the people, and then through the different channels, Facebook, Twitter, Causes, Flickr, YouTube. I mean, it is pretty amazing, pretty comprehensive. I'm really proud of the UNHCR, I have to say. And the way it works is a two-way street. It's not the traditional press release push where the information is sent and that's it. No, we actually engage. Well, I don't work there anymore, but the UNHCR team engages in actually a conversation in a two-way street where they want to know what people are saying, how can they actually help, what do they think could be done to change that problem in that particular context. We actually, the UNHCR even uses the communities to test ideas. Do you think we should communicate about this crisis in this way? Do you think we should do that? So I think it's a very authentic way of using social media. I think that for organizations in the humanitarian cause, either you're authentic and two-way street, or it's never going to work. There's no lip service that is allowed on social media when you're a humanitarian organization. People feel it. So what we noticed was that people are tired. You know, like people like you and I, we have our own problems. We don't need to be turning on the television and hear about other problems that are even, you know, like very depressing, very, very far away from a country that I've never heard of in my life. And why do I care? How do I care? So the main thing is that social media helped us to understand that the tone matters. How you tell that story, how do you actually make sure that you are bringing up the refugee issue into people's minds in a way that is human. So we worked with a couple of projects, many projects actually. For example, distributing Nokia phones around the refugee camps and letting the refugees tell their own stories on video, but through a positive tone, through a tone of hope, not about like a crying one, because we all have the same human basis, you know. So we were connecting with them about what's in your mind, you know, like that was the second phase, but also what is love, what makes you laugh, what do you hope for your kids. Those are the universal concepts that we started using to share the stories of the refugees. The refugees were really excited about tell their own stories, but also to connect at the human level, you know. And through these kind of like experiments, then we started putting refugees on the map. So we put actually an entire system about showing the refugee camps on Google Earth layers and animated that with something almost sexy, like the Rolling Stones' Give Me Shelter soundtrack, just to make sure that we were able to surprise people in the way that we were communicating something that they would not expect. So they wouldn't necessarily expect the United Nations talking about refugees with a Rolling Stones song on Google Earth showing the refugee camps in detail so that you can see how actually the streets are. And when you click there, you can see the videos from the people themselves talking about what makes them laugh, what makes them, you know, like what do they feel love for. UNHCR has more than 1 million users, followers on Twitter, and for many people numbers do not matter, but for refugees they do. The more people understand and follow what is happening, the more people are going to be conscious about, you know, like people having these kind of problems. And by following Twitter tweets about refugees, you're taking them out of their shadow where no one knows what's happening with them and giving them a chance to be heard.